Hey guys, let's go review some Batman, shall we? Hey guys, Comic Boom here to review Batman issue 96. Gotham City is slowly becoming accustomed to being controlled by the Joker. The Joker at this point has all his mechanisms in play, all of his gang members in play. He's essentially bought off all the criminals to work for him. He's got Joker cycles, Joker vehicles, he's got Joker paraphernalia. He's basically got all of his own toys he can play with because he can afford to build them. That's what the Joker has done. Writer James Tynion IV here has done a really great job, in my view, creating and building on the atmosphere of Gotham City, which is under the terror of the Joker. And one could perhaps criticize this issue for dragging the matter out, but the reality here is that James Tynion IV, in my opinion, is telling a fun story. This is a fun issue, and even though this drags things out a little bit, I actually like it because it takes its time explaining to the reader and showing the reader, that's the important thing, showing the reader what is going on, and I think it's a lot of fun. It's filled with horror, it's filled with terror. I tell you, I just finished reviewing James Tynion IV, Something is Killing the Children, and that's a review you can check out of mine elsewhere on the channel. And James Tynion IV is really good at planting the seeds of horror and the seeds of terrifying events, and he certainly does that well in this issue. Now, this issue starts off with Bruce Wayne, Batman having a dream. And we know that Batman managed to escape the Joker last issue at the very end. And this issue we discover that he's actually been asleep for 3 days. And during those 3 days, he has a long dream. And he dreams of a future Gotham, and he dreams of himself as an older Bruce Wayne / Batman fighting crime in a utopian Gotham City, where he, in this particular dream, meets up and takes out and combats Mr. Freeze and Mr. Freeze's two sons. And Mr. Freeze's two sons, they go by the names Ice Pop and Snow Cone. So, speculator alert, we got the first appearance of Ice Pop and Snow Cone, Mr. Freeze's sons. And in any event, this was all in a dream sequence, so it's not in mainstream continuity, but you gotta wonder what's really going on here. Now, we know that Batman is infected with a new toxin, and this new toxin, it's a combination of Joker toxin and other toxins, and in particular something that Punchline may have thrown in there. And so we don't really know what the effects is. What's interesting about the toxin that's affected Batman is that Batman himself is unclear as to how it's affecting him. What's interesting is that Batman possesses a kind of self-awareness that whatever he's seeing, Batman knows that the voice in his head that's talking to him, he knows it sounds like Alfred, but he doesn't really know it's real. He believes it's probably because of the toxin, so he's questioning the voice in his head, but while at the same time, he hasn't gone completely insane. He ultimately meets up with Harley in this issue. Harley Quinn shows up, sporting the scar that she got from Punchline, and even though we don't know how Harley survived, Harley alludes to the fact that she stitched up her own neck from the cut that she got from Punchline. Now, Harley herself has got a heck of a sense of humor here. You can tell Harley is upset with Punchline. She actually, she refers to Punchline in 3 different ways. She calls Punchline a stabby broad. She calls Punchline Knifeline instead of Punchline. She calls it her Knifeline, the stabby broad, or Miss Punchable. And so you know that at some point Harley is going to have her comeuppance, or is going to be having a confrontation with Punchline, a rematch, so to speak, and that's and whatever happens, I suspect it might be a different outcome than Harley Quinn getting her throat slit again. But who knows? James Tynion IV does seem to have a habit here of subverting readers' expectations a little bit, and in a fun way. I love the bat suit here in the dream sequence at the beginning. Batman, he looks really good in the bat suit. I love the coloring. The coloring in this issue is really good. The art by Jorge Jimenez is really good. It's fantastic. And the coloring of Batman's new suit really pops off the page in that dream sequence. Now, When Batman comes out of the dream, Harley Quinn is there. Harley Quinn really wants him to snap out of his delusions, but they're not really. Harley Quinn quickly figures out that Batman is talking with a voice in his head, and we readers know that that voice is the ghost of Alfred. Now, whether or not it's really Alfred or something else, we don't know. But Harley Quinn wants him to snap out of it, and it's really crazy. Now, one thing that is established here again is we readers are reminded of those things that were alluded to in earlier issues, which might upset some readers if you're looking for a faster paced issue, but it does double down and remind readers just what is at stake at Gotham, and the fact that the Joker has his hands in every major facet of Gotham City's functioning. The Joker has his hand in. Now, the way the Joker has it set up is in controlling Gotham City. He's got Punchline running things from the Wayne building at Tricorder Yards. The Joker also has bought Ace Chemicals, where he's creating his new Toxin. And Ace Chemicals, of course, being the place where the origin of the Joker arose, where Batman originally pushed the Red Hood into the vat of chemicals, and this Red Hood became the Joker. The underbroker is at City Hall with his legal team, creating legal paralysis for the city and essentially preventing the city from taking any specific legal action. Meanwhile, the Joker's bought up all the ad time in Gotham, and he's bought up all the videos and the TV spots to sort of control the narrative and push out his Joker propaganda. Meanwhile, the Joker has used his billion-dollar empire that he of course stole from Bruce Wayne through the help of the underbroker. He's used all that money. He's literally paid criminals to come to his side. So he's got an unlimited budget. So the Joker has done he's done a whole handful of things with the money. And of course, one of those things is literally paying criminals to work with him. And he's also bought Joker mobiles, Joker cycles, Joker planes. He's bought a bunch of toys. So when the Joker says, in that famous line by Jack Nicholson, where does he get all those wonderful toys, in reference to Batman's vehicles? Well, the Joker now has enough money to buy all the toys he wants, and that's exactly what he does. And so at the beginning of this run, James Tynion IV in interviews talked about that he really wanted to maybe expand on the repertoire of Batman's gadgets that he has. Well, we're actually we're getting a bonus here in this issue, because we're getting hints of the Joker's toys and the Joker gadgets, because it makes sense, because now that the Joker has Bruce Wayne's financial resources, we're going to be getting all kinds of, I suspect, more interesting Joker toys, and that's exactly what's happening. Now, the result of all this is that no one can really take the Joker down, and even creating an infrastructure of good guys to take the Joker down is hard, because the cops are essentially incapacitated. The cops are literally bought off by the Joker. I mean, as if Gotham City PD wasn't corrupt enough, we got the Joker buying them off, and we also have, this is also, for whatever reason, there's a paralysis in superheroes coming to Gotham. Now, this isn't really explained, but Harley Quinn stated that neither cops or capes are doing squat to come to help Gotham City. Now, what's interesting about that is I don't know how would any of that prevent Superman or the Justice League from coming into Gotham and taking out the Joker. That is never explained. It certainly wasn't explained adequately enough in City of Bane, although Tom King did have sort of a explanation that Gotham Girl was keeping the capes out of Gotham City, although that didn't really make a lot of sense. But in any event, I can forgive James Tynion IV that little plot hiccup. It doesn't make a lot of sense that the Justice League could be prevented or would be hindered from taking out the Joker at Gotham City. It just doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. No other governments in the United States would tolerate the Joker and any legal shenanigans that the underbroker would create at City Hall would simply fall to the wayside by executive order of the president. So none of that really makes a lot of sense. But I'm going to let it go because I'm having a lot of fun with this story. Now, meanwhile, the Joker, the Batman continues to look for the Joker. And that takes him ultimately to the Monarch Theater, where the Joker has bought up all the theaters in town last issue, and he's showing the same movie called Mark of Zorro, and he's advertising the movie because he bought up all the media and the TV spots in town, and he's telling people, look, if you come to the premiere of the Mark of Zorro, which is the Gotham cut of the Mark of Zorro, and the Mark of Zorro was the movie that young Bruce Wayne watched on the night that his parents were shot and killed in front of him by Joe Chill. Joker saying, come watch the premiere of The Mark of Zero, the Gotham Cut edition, and anyone who attends the premiere, I'll give $10,000 to. So, yeah, the people have an incentive. So even though they know it's the Joker and they're probably going to die, some people undoubtedly went to attend the premiere, much to their chagrin, as they will find out soon. In any event, the Joker does something really, really sick. He digs up all the corpses of all the people that he's ever killed. All the men, women, and children that the Joker has ever killed. He's had his vast, expanded criminal empire, all his hoodlums that now work for him. He's had them dig up all the corpses of all the people he's killed, and he's put them in the Monarch Theater. So when the Batman shows up, he reanimates them. And the Joker alludes to something interesting. He says he uses designer tech. So the designer himself had some technology that the Joker is using to reanimate the corpses, so that when Batman tries to confront the Joker in his sort of quasi-delusional state, the corpses, obviously, they're moving, and they look like they're emanating some green sort of smoke from their faces. And I'm not sure if that's the form of the Joker Toxin or the new Joker Toxin / punchline Toxin that has been created. But it's very interesting, and Joker's allusion to using designer tech, I like that. It makes me realize I like the fact that James Tynion IV is propping up the designer here. Even though the designer is dead, I think that these are slow hints that maybe the designer is still around. This designer sounds like he was a very, very smart individual. He did, after all, take out Cassander, his own arch nemesis. So it does seem odd to me that the Joker could have taken out the designer so easily, and it makes me wonder if the designer himself is still alive. I'm certainly hoping he is, but the fact that the Joker is using designer tech makes me wonder if maybe the designer is still alive. But tell me what you guys think on that. I'm not sure. But in any event, with respect to the people that the Joker killed that he has reanimated in the Monarch Theater, he refers to them as his army of Joe Chills. So he's essentially saying that and when he says Joe Chill, he's referencing the assassin or the robber that killed his parents on that formative night, traumatic event in Bruce Wayne's life. Now, there's no question here that the Joker's knowledge that Bruce Wayne is Batman always continues to come back to haunt him. And Batman makes a comment when he enters the theater, and the comment that the Batman makes is he's not sure if he notices that the Monarch Theater is in pristine condition. It's in really nice condition, and the Batman says that Batman isn't sure if he's just hallucinating that the theater's in such good condition, or if the Joker just spent a lot of his money and fixed it up. Now, I'm surprised Batman would think that, because it's not possible for the Joker's has only been in charge of Gotham. The Joker's only been in charge of Gotham for a day or two. So it's virtually impossible for the Joker to have fixed up the Monarch Theater in just a 24-hour period. You can't do that in 24 hours. So I think that maybe was a little fault in the writing by James Tynion IV, or maybe just Batman not being 100% on his game, because that seems like a stupid thing for the Batman to think. There's no way the Joker could have done repairs to any building in the span of 24 hours to make it go from a dilapidated, abandoned Monarch Theater to a pristine new one. So I hope, or I would suspect, that in fact a lot of this is taking place in Batman's head, and in terms of what's real and what isn't, we're going to have to discover what is or is not real along as Batman does as this story progresses. Now, what's interesting, I'm really interested to see where Harley Quinn ends up. She clearly is on the path. Harley Quinn tells Batman point blank, look, we need you to get better to help us get out of this so we can all survive this. And meanwhile, Harley Quinn is obviously, she's on the lookout trying to get punchline and to see what's up. Now, we also get the premiere of a character called Clown Hunter. Now, Batman at one point takes out a bunch of clowns, but all the hooligans that the Joker has hired, and he's paid a lot of money to, they're all wearing clown masks. And this, we don't know who the Clown Hunter is, but presumably at this point we can only assume that he's just a citizen of Gotham City who's maybe got fed up with the Joker and he's decided to kill a bunch of clowns. Now, At one point, this clown hunter shows up, and another citizen says, "Are you okay, sir?" And the clown hunter says something interesting. He says, "I am not even a little bit okay, but I'm going to see how I feel after I kill a bunch of these clowns." And what's interesting is the lettering when the clown hunter says this. The lettering is very small. When he says when he says "I'm not even a little bit," the I is a small capital I. So he seems to speak. He doesn't speak loudly. He speaks in a very monotone way. The lettering suggests that the clown hunter speaks in a monotone way, in a very low voice, low monotone voice, and he's very matter of fact, and he's a very blunt, matter of fact character that kills clowns. And boy, does he kill them. He just, you can tell he kills them in a brutal fashion. Unlike Batman, who, when Batman confronts some of the clowns in this issue, Joker's hooligans, he just obviously incapacitates them because he's Batman. A couple of other things to bear in mind. The voice in Batman's head, which appears to be the ghost of Alfred, does seem to be suggesting to him that he's being fed a bunch of lies. And the voice in his head appears to be helping Batman, appears to be telling him accurate information. And so one has to wonder, is Alfred actually still alive? Or is it just Batman's instincts talking to himself through the voice in his own mind, through Alfred's voice? Is it Batman's way of dealing with the loss of Alfred while at the same time a survival instinct, that the best way that Batman knows how to survive is to follow his instincts? And when the Batman follows his instincts, he hears his instincts in his head in the voice of Alfred. That's what I wonder, and I think it's interesting. So maybe I'm reading too much into it, but I really like the way it's played here, because the reader, we're wondering exactly, what is this ghost of Alfred, this voice? Is it real? Is it not? This plays out very well. Overall, I had a lot of fun in this issue. Guys, tell me what you think. Did I miss any points? Did I miss any points that you think I should have brought up? Let me know in the comments below. Pick up this issue. If you're not reading Batman, guys, I think you're nuts, because this is a fun run. James Tynion IV seems to be having a lot of fun writing it. I'm enjoying it. I hope you are too. Hit the subscribe button. Follow me on Twitter at Metropolis40. And until next time, Comic Boom out.